If Democrats have any hope of winning control of the Senate this November, virtually every path involves holding each seat that they currently control while flipping 4 Republican-held seats. The most vulnerable of the states that they are currently defending is now Michigan, which MS Now rates as a toss-up. With the Democratic primary now less than a month away, the latest poll shows a statistical dead heat. Congresswoman Haley Stevens, a 4-term moderate, has the support of 42% of voters, according to a new Politico poll, while Abdul El Sayed, a progressive former public health official, gets the support of 41%. This is all well within the margin of error. And it is important to note that a full 18% in this survey say they are not sure who they'll support, which means this is a race that could flip at any moment. We have extended invitations to both of the Democratic candidates, and one of them joins me now, Abdul El Sayed, Democratic candidate for the United States Senate in Michigan. Abdul, thank you for joining us. I just laid out some of the polls, and I think a lot of people know that you had been leading in the polls when it was a 3-person race. But then after Mallory McMorrow dropped, Haley Stevens has closed in on you. So how are you going to win this race? Like, who is your coalition?
So thank you first for having me. And I just want to draw attention that that poll wasn't from Politico. That poll seems to be funded by AIPAC, and they are really eager to generate this idea that somehow all of these voters who would have supported my past opponent, Mallory McMorrow, are now supporting the current opponent, Haley Stevens. But look,
can I make a point about that? I wanted to ask you about those kind of polls, but since you brought it up, I'm wondering, because I have heard similar things about a poll that you put out that showed that you all were, I think it was something like 13 or 16 points ahead of Haley Stevens. I am somebody that knows intimately polls don't vote, people do. So I guess I take it back to whether the polls are being juiced or not. What is the coalition that you think you can put together to win in this primary?
Well, I'll tell you this. We're already putting it together. I've been up and down the state, 110 different cities now, 450 public events. And polling, you're right, is this really imperfect science. What really matters is who you can energize to bring out. Most polls agree that I am dominating the field among young people, 83-6 at this point. And then you have communities of color, whether that is the Black community in Detroit, where I served, or across Wayne County. That is communities of color, including the Latino community and the Arab and Muslim community. And then you have voters out in the rest of the state, folks who are affiliated with Indivisible. That's done an amazing job organizing. And then, of course, you have labor, dominant, mighty labor in Michigan. We've been proud to earn the endorsement of the UAW, endorsements of the AFT and the National Nurses United, and the vast majority of labor members in the state of Michigan. And more importantly, right, we are having a conversation every single day with folks who are asking, how do we come together to get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, pass Medicare for all? As we all know, in 2024, unfortunately, Michigan went to Donald Trump. And that was because we could not keep a group together that included a lot of those, quote unquote, undecided or middle voters. I don't know that middle is the right term, but I do know that there are a lot of people who've been alienated by politics on both sides of the aisle. And we're reaching out to them to actually talk about what it looks like to bring people back to the center of our politics rather than be dominated by corporations, which, unfortunately, whether you're talking about Haley Stevens or Mike Rogers, tend to be funded that way.
You know, the point you made about 2024, I mean, Michigan elected Donald Trump, but also sent Alyssa Slotkin to the United States Senate. So there were clearly some split-ticket voters. I want to go back to the coalition piece here, because when you look at, like, what Trump did in, which I have thoughts about, what he did in Michigan, Detroit turnout was a little bit softer, right? Macomb County was more Republican. Rural counties definitely maxed out. There were working class voters that moved to the right. And then the Democratic margins among Black men and young people were slightly smaller than what they needed to be. So I called up a lot of Black folks in Michigan today that I know. I've worked a lot of campaigns in my former life. And I talked to some people that are squarely in your camp. I've talked to some people that said they are not in your camp. And I've talked to some people that said, look, either one could get elected. One of the things that I heard is that some people are hesitant to support you because you didn't support Kamala Harris in 2024. Like, what are you trying to do to bring people together?
Can I just address that straight up?
Yeah.
I definitely endorsed Vice President Harris in 2024. I endorsed her.
Why are they saying
the
you
day
didn't?
after she was the nominee? Yeah, well, it's some mis and disinformation. Look, when the other side has $40 million of AIPAC money to spend, they move a lot of disinformation. I got the receipts to prove it. The truth of the matter is I endorsed her, even though I had endorsed uncommitted, because at the end of the day, whether you saw this election from the eyes of a child in Detroit or the eyes of a child in Gaza, Vice President Harris would have been so much better. And I spent a lot of time both on the phone with leaders in the Arab and Muslim community, in basements and living rooms, having conversations about just how crazy Donald Trump really would be in a second term, and having conversations with the Harris campaign about why they needed to move on policy regarding the Middle East. Unfortunately, the outcome was a catastrophe. It was one of the most frustrating 3-month periods of my whole life. I learned a lot in that period, and I bring that to this work. I think anybody who wants to divide us about what happened in the past is missing the opportunity to bring us together for the future. And I'll tell you, as the first Arab or Muslim leader in Michigan to endorse Vice President Harris, I really want our party to recognize that we were wrong on that issue, and we have an opportunity to get right on principles moving forward.
I have to say, because again, I talked to a lot of different people today, and I think that the piece that I was hearing about the support or lack thereof for Vice President Harris in 2024 comes from a place where people are like, I don't really know him that well. I heard a lot of folks say to me that, you're very charismatic, you give a great speech, but that they haven't seen you in their communities, particularly, and these were I talked to some young black leaders and some older black leaders. Now, the folks that I talked to that have decided that they are in your camp said, look, they like what you are talking about. So it seems to me that you are cobbling together an important coalition, but is this a coalition you think that can make the difference in this primary race? That 18, I know we cited that one poll, but there are a lot of people that still haven't made up their mind, and a month is a very long time.
A month is a very long time in politics. I will tell you this. I served the city of Detroit as health director, rebuilt the health department in the city, and then served Wayne County as director of health, human, and veteran services. In this race, I by far have the dominant service record in these communities. Now, you always have more work to do to introduce yourself in the new role you hope to hold as U.S. Senator. But I also know that we have a message that's real. Right now, a lot of the impact in this race is the $40 million of outside spending that is being done on behalf of AIPAC and corporate PACs for my opponent. And they are using that to mis and disinform the public, both about her record and mine. And that's unfortunate because, well, I don't take corporate money, and I don't ask AIPAC, certainly, to fund their campaign. There's a reason that they are hammering us with attack ads right now. They've called me the most dangerous candidate for the U.S.-Israel relationship. And that's because I have the audacity to believe that Palestinians have equal rights to peace, dignity, and self-determination. And so what a lot of people are seeing is my opponent on their TV screens or attack ads against me. But when you look at my record, putting glasses on kids, eliminating medical debt, making sure to show up for folks in the moments of their lives when their health is at risk, I'll take my record over just about anybody when it comes to serving the city and Wayne County. So I look forward to continuing to share that over the next month. We have 10,000 volunteers knocking doors up and down the city, up and down the county, and we're continuing to build that coalition brick by brick, the old-fashioned way, having real conversations with people instead of asking AIPAC and corporations to buy ads for me.
AIPAC came up a lot at last night's debate. The other thing that came up that really sparked my curiosity, because I watched it, I didn't watch it live, but I did watch it this morning, is that Haley Stevens has been criticizing you for not releasing your personal finance disclosure until after the primary. The former strategist in me is like, why not just release it and take her talking point away?
We absolutely will, and we intend to. Sometimes finances are complicated, and I can only control what I can control. And unfortunately, when it comes to tax documents, sometimes they're really complicated to get. We are absolutely going to release it before the primary. But this is all a distraction from the fact that her campaign finances are a real problem. You think about the money she's taken. Right now, there are people who are going to bed without electricity for the 5th night in a row because of the failure, the debacle that is our utility, DTE. She's taking $37,500 for them. What do you think that buys? You think about the impact when it comes to taking corporations' money from big tech and whether or not she's going to stand up when it comes to AI or someone trying to put a data center in your backyard. So the question is not about my personal finances. It's about the finances of the corporations and the billionaires she will make rich if, in fact, she's elected as their next U.S. Senator.
I guess I just want, why not just take her talking point away? I mean,
We will.
are the disclosures going to say that you're rich? And if you are, okay.
You know, I'm a public servant who spent my career trying to build health departments and lead in the bowels of Wayne County and the city of Detroit. We are going to certainly drop that as soon as we get those documents in order. So it is not, frankly, a matter of not wanting to. It's just a matter of trying to wrangle together documents.
All right. Send them to me when you get them.
We certainly will.
Abdul Sayed, thank you for joining us.
I do want to make
tonight.
sure, though. You know, I do want to make sure, though, when you do have her on, just make sure you ask her about her and her mother's trip to Portugal. It's an interesting story.
Now, I want to be clear. I got some other questions I wanted to ask you, and I think there's questions for both of y'all. And at the end of the day, I really do want to talk to Congresswoman Stevens. At the end of the day, I think it's really about the coalitions. And you got to put together the family in a primary, and then you got to keep the family together in a general and add. And the question is, which one of you is better positioned to do that? And the Michigan voters are going to make their voice heard on August 4th. Thank you very much for your time. I'll see you soon.